It's our plan to have our athletic program comparable to USC, to Notre Dame, to Alabama, to anybody.
What's going on, Flames Nation? Welcome to, I have no idea. What is this, week 6?
Something like that.
Something like that. Once you get the midweek going, I got no idea what week it is. Regardless, welcome to the ASOR Red Football Podcast, sponsored by Jason Porter Real Estate. We are thrilled to have you all joining us this Sunday evening. It feels a little bit better coming off of a win. So I will ask my question. Mr. John Manson, all things ASOR Red. John, how we living this Sunday night?
We're living a lot better this week. It's always good coming off a win. And
yeah,
we'll break it down a little bit. I think the first quarter went about as good as you could hope for. And things kind of, went, not as well the second half. But, getting out of town in El Paso obviously is great with a win. And, turn the page. And now you got New Mexico State this week. And like we talked about last week is now you can have a chance to hopefully build some momentum and keep things moving forward as you get into conference play.
Agreed. CT, how are you living this Sunday night?
Yeah, kind of echo what John said. I feel like we started saying, hey, it's feeling a little rough to do some of these podcasts, just to be completely honest, loss after loss. We've been spoiled with not having too many podcasts following losses the past couple of years. But no, it's good. Good to be back in the win column. Good to be back with y'all on a different night than normal, but happy to be here. Exactly.
Definitely still some things to talk about, but it's nice to have some positive things to mention. John, you said it best. It's one win down. Can't really say that, we're back. We're going to the conference championship game, but it's good to, see one through the hoop. And I think there's a bit of an air about kind of the difference from last year, where it was kind of after that App State game got canceled, was kind of just season's over, put it in the books. And I think there's a little bit more fight in this team this year, a bit more, hey, how can we build off of this, and that there's still going to be things to play for that we can hold for a little bit. So great to be here with you guys. Great to everyone joining us in. I'm sure we'll have some people in the comments. We've been seeing a lot of good stuff on Twitter and all of that. But yeah, we got a nice, lovely win. Full disclosure, CT and I are in the middle of a bit of a hurricane right now. So add to some suspense and some drama. This could just turn into a one-man show, but John is ready for that. You check out the ASOR Red YouTube channel. John has some great deep dives. Sometimes he brings some people in and just has some great conversation about I need Jahmyr Gibbs for fantasy. That's what happens to the Sunday night.
Yeah, I also need Jared Goff for fantasy. So,
yeah. And shout out to any of the Liberty fans out there that started Demario Douglas this week.
Yeah, all 1% of you.
Yeah, I had a couple people I had him on my bench. I had him on my bench as well. So we always say, no matter a win, no matter a loss, we like to kick off the show, bringing in Jason Porter, bringing in Jenkins?
Yeah, you got it. Jacob Jenkins coming in this week.
I had a 50-50 shot, so excited to hear from them. It's a great way to kick off the podcast and get that look from a couple of people behind the scenes. So we're going to hear from the amazing people of Leesburg and then some more amazing people in Jason Porter and Mr. Jenkins.
It's real Florida. It's old Florida, and it's close to all of the Central Florida attractions. Crystal clear natural springs in one of the largest chain of lakes. The beautiful lakefront city of Leesburg offers the best in outdoor adventures, fishing, and quaint shops and restaurants on historic downtown Main Street. Come visit and see how welcoming a hometown city feels. Experience Leesburg the way Florida is meant to be.
Pleased to be joining this segment, as always, with Jason Porter. And then also Jacob Jenkins, Liberty tight end, joining us as well this week. Start with you, Jacob. How are things going? You guys are in the. It's a little weird, I guess. Does it feel weird for you? You're in the midweek now, and have had the game Wednesday night, and now you're preparing for a Tuesday night. It's hard to figure out what day it is.
Yeah, it's definitely not the norm. So schedule gets kind of crazy. Like we practice tonight. We're normally practicing in the middle of the week and in the mornings. So schedule's different. But it's a quick turnaround, so that's a given. But it's fun, and it's always nice to do a little change in schedule.
Maybe one of the benefits, Jacob, is at least classes get adjusted a little bit on Tuesday from what I'm hearing. So that could be a good thing for everybody out there in Flames Nation. Hey, congrats on the win at UTEP. We were just talking before you came on. I think you probably, me too. But obviously, first half of that game, you guys came out absolutely blazing. As you've had a chance to go back and look at the difference, kind of first half, second half. Second half was a little bit bumpier. Some things didn't quite connect as well. What's your assessment overall in the difference in play between first half and second half versus UTEP?
Yeah, I think I think it's just going back to what I feel like we talk about every time I'm in this podcast is just finishing drives, because we still had 400 plus yards of offense. Like we were moving the ball. It's just we got to take some of those field goals and turn them into touchdowns, and then we got to finish drives and keep. And if we're not scoring touchdown, we got to keep field goal range. So I think the second half we were executing, but when it came down to making a play, we missed the deep ball. We didn't get it on a third and short, stuff like that, where you just got to be able to convert and make the play. But I mean, we were excited. We thought we came out hot, which is what we need to see from our offense. So that was a good feeling and a good momentum builder going into the rest of conference play.
Yeah, that first drive was one of the best drives we've probably seen all season. Had a lot of new players in there, or different players. Jalen Coleman's the one that kind of sticks out, had a 30-yard reception. And that's a drive that, it's easy to forget. We started backed up inside of our own 10, and I think it was 96-yard touchdown drive. And, how much of an emphasis was it in practice going back a week ago into the UTEP game of coming out strong, coming out with a good start, and kind of punching first?
Yeah, I think just for the offense, our defense has been playing so good and really keeping us in games when it comes to the fourth quarter. So I felt like the offense is really eager to have the defense back every now and then and be able to put the ball in the end zone. So that first drive it was a 22-play drive, and we were excited about it. And I think Jalen Coleman, he's been a great player. So all week we were talking about Jalen and that play, hitting it on play number 2. So we were excited about the plays we had on that opening script. So to see us anchor down and take a 94-yard drive like that, or it was a big momentum builder, and I think carried into the rest of the game. But that's something you want to see out of your offense, especially when we've been so on and off. So that was good to see.
Jacob, I think one of the stats that jumped off the page to me with UTEP as well was 11 different targets. I mean, the ball was all over the field to a bunch of different players, which I think is a really good strength. And I think, those of us that watch you guys and study y'all know that those targets are out there and that you guys have a lot of offensive weapons this year in particular. Was that just a progression thing where Ethan was going through progressions and it just happened to sort of scatter plot to 11 different targets, or did you guys see some opportunity last week?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think when your offense is running smoother, that you get into your third and fourth progressions and pass plays, and I think we got into a spot where we hit a bunch of rhythm and drives, and we of course stalled out towards the end. But I think a lot of time we were just we're playing a lot of guys, which is a good thing. We have a lot of depth on offense, and so I think that is where you kind of get into a bunch of different touches. I mean, we had all 3 tight ends that caught a ball, which is pretty cool. So, I think that's just part of executing. I think you start finding other guys and you hit a rhythm as an offense, and that's something that's big and something that we can build on going into this week.
This portion of the podcast is brought to you by RT Rogers each and every week as we're visiting with Liberty tight end Jacob Jenkins. Jacob, tell us a little bit more about RT Rogers and what they can provide for our listeners.
Yeah, so for over 50 years, our family-owned and operated oil company has been powering homes, farms, and businesses in our community. Whether you need residential or commercial propane and heating oil, generators, or expert service, we've got you covered. We also offer top quality commercial and agricultural fuel tanks, lubricants, and equipment, plus wholesale opportunities that help your business grow. Trust the experience and dedication that only a family business can deliver. Call us today and experience the difference.
Yeah, and Ethan Vasco was back in the lineup too after missing a game and a half, and it seems like he really brings a lot of energy to the entire team, but especially the offense. And obviously, you know, the passing wasn't quite there when he was out of the lineup. But how much does just having him, you know, back on the field and back on the sidelines, you know, suited up in full uniform and everything, playing, kind of help, you know, give the team and the offense some extra energy?
Yeah, he brings a ton of energy when he plays. He's a high motor guy, very vocal, and so I think we as an offense just feel more under control, and like he brings a lot of comfort to a lot of other guys, and it just runs smoother. But he's a hard-nosed player. I mean, he puts his head down when he needs to, and he's not afraid to take a hit. He's not afraid to make that hard play. He reminds me a lot like Baker Mayfield kind of guy that. And Jackson Dart, even that you're starting to see, they'll do the extra inch to get the first down, and they'll do the extra effort play, which is cool in a quarterback because you want to rally behind that, and you also want to protect him even more. He's a high motor guy, and everybody enjoys playing with him.
Jacob, take us into the film room real quick. Obviously, prep has been quick for you guys playing Tuesday night. What do you see on New Mexico State out of the gate right now? What should we anticipate on Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. I mean, if you remember last year, same D coordinator. So we watched a lot of last year's film and game stuff that we ran against them. But I think it comes down to us just executing. Like we have the players, they have the players, and they're going to be a good defense. They're going to be sound. So it's just going to be us having to fly around and be who's going to win in the box and who's going to make the play downfield.
Well, thanks, Jacob, for joining us as always. Looking forward to the game Tuesday night. Glad to be back at Williams Stadium. Hope to have a big crowd with the students back in town as well, too. And, we'll be cheering for you guys Tuesday night. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Gonna be a fun one.
JP, always fun to join with all the student athletes, but Jacob this week. But, we were talking a little bit beforehand. I didn't tell you this part of it, but this past summer I had some issues with my septic, and I had to make a call and get some guys out here to get it straight and cleaned out and all that stuff. That's something that happens, I think, right, with home ownership, especially if you're living in the Lynchburg area. A lot of us are on septic, but I heard you were telling me there were some changes, rules and regulations in that process. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up just because I know that there are a number of folks who, as you alluded to, John, are on septic, and rules have changed in regards to that if you're selling specifically. So this is kind of really going to target folks that are thinking about selling, and that is the sale process for a septic inspection used to be just a visual inspection. Now it's much deeper than that, no pun intended. You actually literally have to get with the city or with the county and pull some paperwork, and the inspection is much more in detail and in depth than it has been in the past. So to any of our friends out there that are thinking about selling and that are on septic, that's something that you need to take care of a little bit more in advance than you have in the past. And again, any specific questions I'd be glad to address, but just a little bit of almost a PSA kind of thing tonight, public service announcement for folks that may be thinking about selling that have a septic system.
Well, that's good to know and something to keep in mind as we get around to selling at some point in time. And I'm sure many people in the area are on septic as well, too. JP, appreciate you as always. Look forward to seeing you Tuesday night. Back at home, Williams Stadium. We'll see you then.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Jason Porter. I'm with Legacy Realty and Development, and it's been a great partnership here with Sea of Red lately. I was with Liberty Athletics as the Associate Athletic Director for Sports Medicine, so took care of all of the healthcare needs and coordinated that with a fantastic staff at Liberty in the athletic department, of course, for about 5 or 6 years, and then moved into real estate full time and with Legacy Realty and Development. And it's just been a great pleasure to continue to stay connected with my Liberty University family and the athletics family as well. Been enjoying serving them. A lot of the graduate assistants and some of the staff that I hired has come back now and has been using me for residential services, which I really appreciate. But certainly do residential real estate as far as buying and selling of homes, of course. And then also we have a strong commercial presence as well. So commercial real estate, obviously a very, very different animal than is residential. But whether it's buying and selling commercial properties or just the leasing of properties, we can help with that as well. So it's been a great opportunity to service our commercial clients as well. And then certainly on the investment front too, a number of folks who have discovered the power of passive income through real estate and investing in real estate with rental properties or fix and flips, those kind of things. And so great joy to serve my clients in that capacity as well. The other thing that I would add too is just a very, very full Rolodex at this point of contractors and subs and just different professional contacts that I've made through the years. So if I can ever provide any of those folks to you when all of a sudden you need a plumber or an electrician or a contractor to build your deck, whatever, I'd certainly be glad to give you access to that Rolodex and those references as well. Because a lot of times it's not exactly who you know, it's who you know that knows how to do the job well. And so I would be glad to provide those services for you as well. So love Flames Nation, love taking care of my Liberty family. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, my contact information is all right here on the screen. And I would love to be a service to you and yours. Thanks so much.
All right, we're back. I'm not going to lie. I was just looking at some houses in the Lynchburg area on Zillow. I don't know, maybe a little rental property. I'm sure I can find Liberty student, get in there. So definitely, if you're having those thoughts, Jason Porter is the way to go. So as we alluded to, we are coming off a win. Yes, shows on Sunday night in October with the midweek games. It's just a lot going on. So Sunday night, great way to end the week, kick off the week, depending on how you look at Sundays. But coming off a win at UTEP, boys, what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like we were talking just now with Jenkins is, that first drive that we had, we started on our own 6-yard line, 94-yard drive, touchdown. First 2 plays was a 29-yard kind of out to Juju out of the backfield, and then Jalen Coleman, a screen pass to the right side for 30 yards. So we picked up 60 yards in 2 plays, and we were just, humming down the field and ended in a touchdown. So it was a great drive, great to see. And then, the defense, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot, got to stop, forced a bunch of punts, a lot of 3 and outs, and then the offense came right back, got another field goal, and that was kind of the end of the success, if you will, from the offensive side. We had to settle for a lot of field goals, but ended up getting that 2-score lead and never really looked back. And I think that kind of changed some things, which we can talk about and break down a little bit more. Especially as you got into the second half. Once you got up by 3 scores, the way the defense was playing, it probably changed, got a lot more conservative on offense, which kind of makes sense. But obviously good to get the win, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like if you string together, 7 straight wins, you're going to be in the mix at the end of the season in conference play, and that's the goal right now. That's the hope right now, and so let's do the same thing Tuesday night. I don't care if it's 19-8 or 19-18 or 40-7 or whatever. Let's just get the win and keep this moving.
Yeah, it really was a great first quarter. I completely agree. And I mean, we could talk about and we'll talk about kind of what happened after that. But it was just exciting to see and feel a game where it's like, okay, like seems like we're going to win this game. Like it seems like we're moving in the right direction. And that's something that we couldn't say for multiple games in a row previously. So there definitely was a couple moments there in the fourth quarter where it's like, this lead doesn't feel fully safe. At least that was my perspective. But regardless, for most of the game is like, it seems like we're in control. And that was just a good feeling to have.
Yeah, I saw a comment about Jalen Coleman before I jump into some other stuff. I know he had the pretty good chunk play, caught a ball out of the backfield, Vaughn Blue just coming in, him and Caden Williams coming in the game, a great 1-2. Said it before about Vaughn Blue being hurt, so him having that full clean bill of health to get out there and play was kind of a great thing to see, because you can do a little bit of everything in this offense. But as John said, just that first drive, that play calling was just feels like 2023 a little bit of, all right, yeah. We're making things happen. No big 65 yards in the air, but scheming players open. I think 10 players had a reception. Jenkins mentioned all 3 tight ends. It felt like a complete team game. If you look at the box score, you look at the amount of players on defense that made a tackle. 2 interceptions was just a complete game. And yes, you could look at the box score and say, they only scored 19 points. It could have been more. In the same breath we talked about last week, Old Dominion probably could have beaten us by more. We probably could have won this game by more, as John alluded to with some of the, hey, when you got the lead, definitely different play calling than when it's 0-0, you're only up a possession. So when you have that trust in your defense, you're able to kind of control that game and control what that looks like when you do have the ball.
Yeah, I did see.
Go ahead.
Sorry, John. I was just going to say, I did see a question that on Twitter that I feel like I want to ask here, and it could be a natural segue or not. We can just do whatever with it. But it said Juju Gray finally looked like a legitimate threat, and Jalen Coleman was electric in the first quarter. Then it felt like they both disappeared along with the decent play calling. What happened there?
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was going to go to, and that is a great segue and great points. I kind of had the same thoughts as we didn't really see Jalen Coleman again on the night. I mean, he was out there for a few plays, but wasn't really featured. I've talked about previously that it feels like we haven't really featured or gone to Juju enough, and I don't know how much of that was, has been the defense kind of, keen on him to keep him out of the game. But it felt like to at least start the game against UTEP, we were featuring him several times in the first half, first quarter, really. And we did go away from that. And I don't understand why. It was a little frustrating. We do need to finish some of these drives and touchdowns. I mean, we ended up, credit to Jay Billingsley knocking down 4 of his 5 field goals, including the 50-yarder. If it wasn't for that, this is a completely different game. He changed the game from being a 1-score game to being a 2 to 3 score game, and ultimately was the reason why we won. But we have to find ways to finish these drives. We've talked about it several times throughout the season is, we put up over 400 yards of offense. We did that against Jack State. We had some success on offense in the second half against Bowling Green, but we're still not scoring enough points. How many games have we scored less than 20 so far this season? That's just not good enough. I don't care how good your defense is to win games against good teams. And UTEP obviously is not a good team, so we were able to pull out the win. And, so we do have to find a way to finish these drives. It's been something that's nagging us all season long. We're currently last in Conference USA in offensive touchdowns scored, which is not a good stat. And it's frankly surprising with, Coach Chadwell and this offensive system that he's had and what he's known for that we're in this boat. But I do think in the second half, especially when we got up 19-0 midway through the third quarter, I do think the play calling did go much more conservative, and I don't have a problem with that. Especially knowing what this staff has done in the past and their past couple of years here at Liberty, is when we get leads, just turn around and give the ball to your running back and let's just chew the clock, have some 8-minute drives, hopefully score touchdowns and further, if you had a 7-minute drive when you're up 19-0 with the way that defense is playing and you punch that into the end zone with a touchdown, the game is over.
Yeah.
But our running game couldn't get going. When UTEP knew we were running, they were stuffing us. Go back and look at the stats, especially the second half, they were just stuffing the run. And Von Blue had a decent day. Caden Williams, his yards per carry continue to be kind of low or hovering around the 3.0 mark. That's something we've got to figure out. And hopefully Evan Dickens gets back soon. Concussion like symptoms is what he's been diagnosed with or what we've been told. So he's missed, been out 2.5 weeks. So you'd like to think he could play this week. But we've got to find a way to score touchdowns and the play calling in the second half going more conservative. If we were picking up first downs on the ground, we wouldn't be complaining about it, but we weren't.
Yeah, and I was very surprised by what UTEP did. I'm sure we game planned for Malachi. And when the game started, even the announcers were like, we did not expect this. So interesting that, planning for Malachi Nelson, different quarterback, a ton of talent, just haven't found the right place, putting it all together. But, even though he wasn't in there, still found the way to have a great defensive game. It's tough, not planning for that guy to come in and make that happen. So definitely hats off to the defense. I don't care who you play. You hold a team to less than a touchdown. It's a huge accomplishment in college football these days. So shout out to defense, a good game. Like I said earlier, good to see one through the hoop. Not going to call it a get right game, but it was a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, like we said, and kind of the couple of podcasts leading up to this game, like we said, this game was about as must win as you could get.
Yeah.
We said that if we lost this game, that was probably really the season, maybe bold chances, who knows. But they did what they needed to do and they got that win. And now we'll see, okay, what can we do moving forward? But we did the thing that we had to do, and that at least continues to allow us to have hope for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And every week becomes like that. Like every week's a must win. Like if you lose to New Mexico State, you're in the same boat. So you have to win this game. And, you got about 2 weeks off after the New Mexico State game. So if you can get this win, you can go into this, extended break with, a 2-game win streak and hopefully a few other teams in Conference USA lose. And you're, like I said, right in the mix of things. But yeah, defense played just an amazing game. That was the best defensive performance. Definitely in the Chadwell era and maybe in the FBS era, certainly was as far as total yards go, holding them down. They had less than 100 yards going into the fourth quarter of total offense and finished with less than 175. I think it was like 166. So great job. They didn't get the touchdown till late on kind of a busted play. Quarterback escaped coverage and escaped containment, got in the end zone, but at that point, like I said, we were already up 3 scores. So kudos to the defense. I hope that's something we'll continue to see as we move forward, because especially the way the offense has struggled with getting into the end zone is we may need to win some of these games, 20-7, 21-14, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, not going to be those shootouts that we might have gotten accustomed to seeing at some point, but you adapt to the players that you have. Coming out of this game, John, tell me a little bit about injuries. You already alluded to Evan Dickens. Anything coming out of the game last week that we need to keep our eye on going into Tuesday?
Yeah, the other big thing is Trey Badowski did get to play. He was our starting left tackle to begin the season, and he got injured. I think it was in the Jack State game, and it hasn't. Yeah, it was because it was before that weather delay, and he hasn't been back on the field since then until this past Wednesday night. He got on the field, played some limited snaps, so hopefully his workload will continue to increase as we move forward. But so that was good to see. But I think we're, Vaughn Blue, like we talked about, was back on the field. Hopefully we can get Evan Dickens back this week. Obviously Vasco was back out there. So we seemed to get Marcus Clark was back for the defense. So, we've been able to get a little bit healthier. Doesn't sound like we've got anything, earth-shattering as far as any new injuries. So hopefully we'll continue to improve health-wise moving forward. And like I said, once you get through this Mexico State game, you've got, 2 weeks off basically before you get into that last, what is it, a 4 or 5 game stretch to end the season in November.
Yeah. So you alluded to it a little earlier, John, about Conference USA. We are into the swing of it now. We got to see Conference USA midweek games in October. Always a ton of fun. CT has it under his name for those who are listening later on, undefeated in midweek CUSA. So nice to get that going. But let's take
touchdown Jared Goff.
Touchdown Jared Goff to Jamison Williams. I think I had him on my bench.
That's okay.
That's okay. I'll be fine this week. But let's take a moment and talk about what's going on around Conference USA. Couple surprises this week.
Wow, Kennesaw! What in the world happened there? I was watching that game, and I was expecting Louisiana Tech to. I mean, Louisiana Tech came to this week. We all thought they were the team to beat in Conference USA, and we got the trip down there later in the year. I was like, oh my goodness, that's going to be a tough one to get. But and they take the lead 7-0, and I was like, well, this is going to go how we expected, but something flipped, and Kennesaw scored 35 straight. They had their backup quarterback in. He threw for 260 yards or whatever the case was, and 35-7. Kennesaw beats La Tech. They're obviously a lot better. Kennesaw is, but they're a lot better. Their defense is pretty good, and they've only got 2 losses, and they were to power conference teams, losing to Wake Forest and Indiana. So we'll see. They're undefeated in conference, so that regular season finale could be something.
Yeah, when you look at the conference standings right now, it's kind of like it's a hosh posh. Even Missouri State beating Middle Tennessee, it's like Sam Houston playing Jack State close. I think this is going to be a classic old school Pac-12 where there's just going to be some cannibalism within the conference and weird things are going to happen, which I'm here for. We said after that loss to Jacksonville State that we're going to need some things to happen, some teams to lose, a couple teams to maybe help us out a little bit. So I think that's the path we're headed on, where hey, we can control it. Cliche, I say it all the time. I'm the king of cliches. If we control our destiny and let the weird things take place around us, we might find ourselves in a good spot. But again, we have to take care of our own business first.
Yeah, we do. That Jack State, they hit a 50-yard field goal at the last play of the game to escape Sam Houston 29-27. So, and that's a Sam Houston team that's 0-5 or 0-6 now. I think they are. Yeah. Surprising outcome there as well too. Not that Jack State won, but just that it was so close. So looking at this week's schedule, you got FIU at Western Kentucky. Would expect the Hilltoppers to win that. You also got UTEP at Sam Houston, battle for last place. And then Delaware and Jack State. That's the one that I'm going to be looking forward to. Hopefully Delaware is ineligible for the Conference USA Championship. They've only got the 1 loss. Obviously, that's a team that Liberty plays in a couple of weeks. And they're a scary opponent. They're a team that could go and beat Jack State. And we need, again, if we're going to get into this Conference USA Championship picture, we need Jack State to lose twice if we're going to surpass them in the conference standings. So this would definitely be a game that if they're going to lose 2 games, this would be one that you would think that it would be one of those 2.
Did you see what the internet's calling that game?
What is that, Mr. Longshots?
The Great Cockfight.
Well, the Blue Hens against the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I didn't make this, but it is. It's going to be a fun matchup. Delaware has been great this year. They have exceeded a lot of people's expectations. I think them and Missouri State have been great additions to Conference USA. I think we might have dodged a bullet with UMass, who was a generationally terrible football team.
They're terrible. They just got beat. I mean, Kent State, we were talking about Kent State, not we, but just people were talking about Kent State being one of the worst FBS programs in a long time. And they just obliterated UMass this past week. So enjoy them, Mac.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just doing a quick look at, standings and a couple schedules. And definitely that Delaware Jack State game, like John said, is one to watch. I feel like it'd be pretty critical for us to try to get past Jack State for them to lose to Delaware. Because after that, they have Middle Tennessee, UTEP, Kennesaw, who knows, but I would think, I'm still going to say I think Jack State would win, but, we'll continue to see what Kennesaw does. Then FIU. And then finally, the last game of the season for them is against Western Kentucky. So, we know one of those 2 teams is going to have a loss. So that's good because they play each other. But it seems like Jack State's second loss, if it was going to be a place, is this Delaware game. So definitely wanted to tune in for and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't see a world where anyone runs the table in Conference USA. I think it's going to be a 1-2 loss a logjam up at the top where we're looking at tiebreakers, and I can't even begin to fathom what preposterous tiebreaker procedures that Conference USA has set up.
So if it's a two-team tiebreaker, which we don't really need to go too deep into it, but it's obviously head-to-head, but because we don't play Western Kentucky, it then goes to this conglomeration of like 4 or 5 computer models and what the rankings are in those models and who's ranked higher. And because of our poor, if I'm being nice, non-conference showing this year, I don't think we would come out on top in that one. So we probably, unless there's multiple teams, like we don't want to be in a head-to-head tie with Western Kentucky. We probably won't win that. But if there's multiple, like, 3 or 4 one-loss teams, that's something that, we could, benefit from a tiebreaker there. I don't know. We'll have to look at that in more detail. But again, like we were talking about earlier, like, do we have confidence this team's going to win 7 straight, starting with that UTEP game? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I like to think we can, but I haven't seen it yet. So it doesn't matter if we don't win out. But hey, keep winning, and we stay in the conversation.
Yeah, that's why Tuesday is going to be so big. All right, can we keep that momentum going? Build off of the things that we saw last week, and rattle off 2 in a row. So next up, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. kick, 8 p.m. kick, 7 p.m. kick.
7 o'clock, yep.
7 o'clock kick, back at Williams Stadium. Hopefully the students show up, show out. New Mexico State, Tony Sanchez, this is his second year at New Mexico State, correct?
Yeah, second year.
Replaced Coach Kill. And they're 3-2. They just beat Sam Houston. They're coming off a bye, correct?
Yeah, they played, what was it, a Thursday night prior to us playing on a Tuesday night. So, they got an extended break, as do many of our opponents we played this season. And that's something Coach Chadwell kind of talked about in his press conference on Friday. But yeah, they're coming off a pretty impressive win. I mean, we talked about what Jack State did with Sam Houston, needing a last-second field goal, 50-yard field goal to win, which they shouldn't have even been into field goal range if you were watching that game. I mean, they put that drive together with like 17 seconds left, and but New Mexico State beat Sam Houston 37-10 in their last game. So this is a team that can win. They're 3-2 on the season. They did lose to Louisiana Tech 49-14. So again, Conference USA is just wacky, like trying to figure out who is what and what is who is almost impossible. Liberty did beat them 30-24 last year. The Flames are 6-2 against New Mexico State all time, which they're the most commonly played opponent we have at the FBS level. Obviously, you remember those times we played them twice in, what was it, 2018?
Yes.
2019?
Yes.
And,
the good old home and home in college football.
In season home and home. So it'll be an interesting game. It's hard to say that, I've seen, what's the line, about 9.5, 10.5.
I just pulled it up. Couple things I want to mention with that. It did open around 9.5. Well, I'm way too close to the camera. I didn't realize you switched. And it's so interesting. We talked about this a little bit on the side. It opened up at 9.5. Quickly, pretty much across the board right now, it's 10.5. With Fanatics having it at 11. Going from 9.5 over to 10 that's a big football number, 10. So getting over that, very interested. I think that the sports books always favor Liberty more than we do sometimes. But I was very interested in that. The one thing I just noticed when I looked up, they have a very strong red zone efficiency. They're up there offensively. Let me pull it up exactly. Trends. All right. So their red zone efficiency, well, not as high as I thought it was. I was looking at something else. We are 11th in the country in red zone efficiency, allegedly. So that is one thing to look at. I don't think they run the ball well. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're one of the worst teams, the worst team in the country running the ball, which should be good for us. Like if our defense has a weakness, it's our defensive line in terms of being able to stop the run and then also pressure the quarterback. But they're averaging around 50 yards rushing per game. Their yards per carry is like 2.9. So they're 15 yards behind the next team, 15 yards per game behind the next team in rushing. So I would expect a low scoring game. I would think, if somebody gets into the low to mid 20s, they'll win. That's my expectation. But I mean, New Mexico State, like, if you remember them last year, we were talking about how they couldn't complete a pass. Like they were kind of like the Jack State of this year. It's like they're really good running the ball, but cannot quite complete a pass. Well, they flipped that this year. Logan Fife is their quarterback. He's a transfer from Montana. He's had some solid games, including that win over Sam Houston. He's thrown for over 200 yards here in a few games. He's thrown for over 1,200 in their first 5 games of the season with 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. But, so we're going to be tested, vertically tested in the passing game. But, hopefully our defense can – I think that's the strength of our defense is our secondary. So if we're able to bottle up their run like we did against UTEP, then get them in some 3rd and longs, then hopefully we can have some success just like we did against the Miners, though they have had some success passing, unlike UTEP has.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. Again, like in theory, we should be able to stop the weakness of their offense, but it's really going to come down to that passing aspect. So that'll be interesting. I am really curious just to see, can our offense take another step? Like we saw some glimpses, like we've talked about from that first drive, the first quarter, but can we really maybe put together a solid half, a solid 3 quarters, like whatever that looks like as the next step? And I think that'll be big. Because I know, Richie, like you talked about red zone efficiency and different things. And I know I'd seen a separate stat a couple of days ago that like less than 5% of our drives have gotten to a goal situation. So like basically within the 10-yard line. So in terms of, sure, we may have a high red zone efficiency once we get there or something, but in terms of how often we're getting there, it's very minimal still. And the other thing, just even looking again at the UTEP game, like our 3rd down conversion rate was still very bad. Like it was 3 for 20, 3 for 18, something like that. So those are a couple of things that I'd really love to see us be able to fix this game and really make sure that we can win. Maybe we can cover that number or something. And that's converting on 3rd downs and actually having drives not stall out and getting down to the end zone.
I'll be honest, that's a big number. I mean, 9.5, 10, 10.5. I didn't expect it to be that high. I'd have a hard time, picking us to cover that number. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's just, I mean, what have we seen from the team so far this year that we can score enough points? I mean, we're talking about a team struggling to get to 20, and you expect us to win by 11 or 12 points. That's
John, I hope they take that clip and just put it in the locker room. And
fine.
Yeah.
They have a screen when you walk into the Liberty Football Center that plays like highlights and uniform combos and things like that. Sometimes, I'm sure they put clips on there of like, locker room material. I hope I can walk in there this week, which I won't be doing because that was on Friday. And you can see me talking about how Liberty will not cover the spread. So.
The stat that I got wrong, their red zone efficiency on defense, 9th in the country, we're 11th in the country. So
Very
interesting to see kind of how that will play. The other side note, last thing I wanted to mention about this game, they're 0-2 on the road. Small sample size, I totally get that, but you got this kid coming in from Montana. His 2 away games were La Tech. I forget what the other one was. Obviously, they didn't win. But Williams Stadium probably going to be the loudest stadium that he's been to so far this year. So hopefully the crowd can do what they have to do.
in New Mexico.
Yeah, I'm confident that our crowd on a Tuesday night with that student section who's been so great, they've been so loud. When you look at a lot of those other G5 games, what those student sections are, it's like a quarter of what the students do. And I have been impressed with that. I think that could be a big piece, making that noise on defense going into Tuesday night.
Yeah, I agree. It's a huge game. Hopefully, the crowd's out there. The schedule's been a really weird schedule for our home game. We had a home game in August, one in September, and this is our only home game in October. So it's been a while since we've been there, and it'll be a while before we're back, even though it's the next game up. But it started with 3-game homestand, so hopefully the fans come out and support the team, and looking at betting markets, typically, you get 2.5, 3 points, right, for a home field advantage. So home crowds can definitely help boost your team, push them over the finish line, and pick up wins like this. And that certainly can be something. Hopefully, it can help us, right, where some of these field goal drives end up being touchdowns because we got that extra momentum from the crowd.
I know we mentioned it already, but shout out to Jay Billingsley. Even some of the haters were like, "Oh, all right, good game." So we'll take that for sure. Any last thoughts on New Mexico State?
I don't have anything else. It'll be an interesting game. I think we should be favored, but this is a team that can come in here and beat us. They're going to come in here expecting to win, and you have to remember remember that game against them last year, right? Like we needed a miracle fourth quarter to pull out the win late night in Las Cruces, and then obviously this is the team we also played in the conference championship game in 2023. So obviously different teams, different coaching staff for them, a lot of different players, but there is some of that history with them. So it's a marquee game, and every game is like we can make the same argument we made last week for UTEP for this week and every game, as long as we keep winning, about how it's a must-win game.
1 week at a time. I think we're all on the same page where it's, hey, take care of business, TCB, and see what it looks like late Tuesday night, and what those, having that 2 weeks off is definitely something to be excited about. So always like to hear from the fans. So we'll take some of the Twitter comments CT puts together for us and see what we got.
Yeah, let's get into it. I think the first thing, we've already talked about the game and given our thoughts, so I'm just going to read some general feelings about the game. Maybe
this should be a good time for a shameless plug. Is I think we only have a Twitter account for the ASOR Red podcast account, but if you're on Twitter, go out there on sometime after the game, typically within 24 hours or so. We tweet out just, hey, bring your takes here and leave a comment below and we'll discuss them. So if you want to be included in this segment, that's what you can do. That's where you can find us. And we try to share the best and some that are interesting takes and include them in the show this week or in this segment. So anyways, shameless plug. That's where you can, that's where we pull these from for the most part.
Can I just mention something, John? I remember way before Liberty Twitter kind of exploded. I remember the live game blogs back in 2015, 2016, and reading those. And it's crazy to see how far this fan base has come with its good and its bad. But, a lot of passionate Liberty fans out there just in the last decade. It's crazy to see.
I love it. I love it. It used to be, and that's one of the things we talked about. We're getting sidetracked here a little bit, but the Liberty Twitter Bracket Challenge, when we've had that previously, and we kind of went away from it. One of the reasons why is just due to the growth of our fan base. It used to be a hard time trying to fill out a 64 bracket for that LTBC, and it got to the point where now, like, we couldn't do it. Like, it's just too many. There's too many accounts, and there's too many good accounts, and that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. So, but anyways, make sure you get out there if you're on Twitter and share your comments post game. So we'll have it, Tuesday night, Wednesday for this week's game as well.
No, great company man right there. Company man. So the account for anybody out there that's not following us is at ASOR Podcast, at ASOR Podcast, and we are 17 followers away, if I can do my math correctly, from 9,000. So, little race for flip the 71 around, and we're doing that race for 9,000. So anyways, let's get into it. So general overview, kind of feelings and thoughts from the game. It was shocker, still decently pessimistic, I feel like, which kind of makes sense.
Sure.
So some of those, I don't know if we won that one as much as UTEP lost it. Somebody else said we won that game. Do 19 offensive points against an awful UTEP team count for much, especially when 12 of those came off of field goals? Somebody else said, yay, we beat UTEP. That was the whole comment. Totally. And then one other person said, unlike others, I will choose to be grateful that we won an FBS game. Saw some good play calling when I hadn't yet this season. Haven't felt this in 11 months, our last FBS win. So I know we've kind of talked about the game already, but just on that pendulum of comments, kind of where would you say y'all fall kind of coming off of that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think those comments are fair. I mean, in the first quarter, I felt great. I was like, man, we figured this thing out. We flipped the corner. We're gonna, to the moon, right? See you guys in the conference championship game, right? That's how I felt kind of at the end of the first quarter into the second quarter. But then, even when the third quarter started, the second half started, and you get up 19-0, I still kind of felt that way to a degree. But then what really set me back was us being unable to win the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball when we were trying to put the game away by milking the clock and running the football. That's something we've always been able to do under Chadwell. And that's something that, not that I was mad at the play calling, but it was just disappointing that we couldn't do that against a UTEP. Not that I don't think UTEP has the worst defense. They were leading Conference USA in total defense going into the game, which that's probably a little bit of a misnomer, but so that was a little disappointing. But yeah, I mean, I think most of those comments, that you just read are fair, and I'm kind of in that realm mentally.
Yeah, it's cautiously optimistic. Saw some good things. Maybe didn't see as much as some others wanted to see, but yeah, UTEP's not a great team, but you win the games on your schedule. You got the win. And there's something this team needed to have happen culturally inside that locker room. Seeing the post-game celebrations, all right, we got to win. I think it's important for a team to say, hey, we can win games. We can win a game against an FBS opponent, and what they do with that now, we're going to get a chance to see on Tuesday night.
Somebody who wishes they were beating bad teams, James Franklin.
Well, he did beat the bad teams. That was the thing.
Well, until he did.
Bad teams.
Until
he did. Yeah.
And then that's what that part. So, question here about Vasco, since we saw him back. Is Vasco's inability to hit the deep ball injury related, or is that just him?
I think it's just him. I mean, you can go back to was it week 1? He missed one to Dante Lee. I know it happened against JMU. I'm trying to remember because I remember I was at Williams Stadium when I saw it down to my right. So I think that was a JMU game, which we heard later that after the JMU game that he did get originally injured against Jack State. So that could be something. I mean, he has hit a couple of those, so I'm not going to say he can't do it. The one to Lee this past week, which I saw a comment about that earlier, was just bad. And that was one of those plays. Again, we can criticize the play calling, but that was not on the play calling. That was on the execution. I mean, it was a good play call. It was a shot play. Dante Lee got separation, got behind the defense, and we just missed him. So I think that's just Vasco. He can hit those, but he's going to miss some of them as well too. His strength is not the 20-plus yard pass down the field. It's just not his strength.
Yeah, and we're coming off Caden Salter, Malik Willis.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
Buckshot, Josh Woodrum, who I don't know how many G5 teams could say that they've had just sheer arms like that over the last decade. And yeah, it's not Vasco, but I think where he's not going to give you that 55-yard on a dime, he's going to put his head down and try to run someone over. And Jenkins mentioned it with that, Jackson Dart Baker Mayfield, where he's going to be a dog and he's not going to run out of bounds. He's going to fight for every single yard, where we might have not always seen that with those four. And Malik different animal. But yeah, he's got strengths, he's got weaknesses like any other quarterback does. But I don't think that deep ball is something we're going to see as often as we have with the last 4 quarterbacks.
Yep. Felt like the O-line was asserting their will in the first half and then fell off in the second half, which we've talked about the play calling and different things like that. So they were just curious, like, is that maybe due to some of the running backs maybe not having Dickens? Was it the play calling or maybe something else?
I mean, I don't think it's a play calling. I think that's, we kind of talked about that a little bit. Yeah. I think we were trying to just assert our will and we were unable to do so, which, like I said earlier, was disappointing. And we've struggled all season. So I don't think we can sit here and say it's because we didn't have Dickens. Like we've struggled all season being able to do that. So I just think that's just who we are this year. And like I said, I was hopeful that against a UTEP and maybe even against a New Mexico State this week that, that can be who we are, that we can just run the ball for 230 yards in a game and just, dominate the offensive line at the offensive line. But, that hasn't been us this year. So it's kind of you get to the point where it's like we're 5 games or 6 games in now. We're halfway through the season. So you are who you are.
Yeah. I feel like there was another comment as well that kind of said the same thing about the O-line, but then gave some more thoughts regarding the play calling. I just thought it was interesting. So it said, if our line can't move people off the ball, then the Chadwell and Corn RPO scheme doesn't seem like it's as effective when that happens. You could see some more glimpses of a pro-style offense sprinkled in this game, less RPO calls and a few more dropbacks. And then it says was effective until we needed to keep the clock moving and go back to kind of the old schemes.
Yeah, just to comment quickly on the play calling is like, typically teams will, draw up their first 10 plays in the week leading up to it. So that's kind of like what we did on that first drive that led to touchdown. And it was a great drive. So hopefully we can do that again this week, but also hopefully as we get deeper into the game, we don't go back to our laurels of like, let's just turn around and hand the ball off, or let's go to this safe play call. Let's keep the offense wide open where we're including Jalen Coleman, we're including Juju Gray. Let's see that for an entire game until we're up 42-0, and then let's call it back. So, the play calling was a step in the right direction, but I think we still have some more work to do to have that last for, a full game.
Yeah. Agree with everything John said.
Love it. This one I'm just going to present without comment and then move on to another one. But it was too much of a hot take not to include. So Coach sounded like we just beaten Alabama in his post-game clip. What a joke. So presented without comment. Last couple, the ability to close out drives still isn't there. And we must eliminate costly, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties that we saw make a return that we saw from last year. And based on that, their just kind of overall summary is the Flames' killer instinct is still missing.
Yeah, I get it.
So, yeah. All that being said,
there was one of those unsportsmanlike penalties, and I don't want to quote who it was because I can't remember exactly, but the player after the play was over kind of shoved the UTEP player. I'm sure there's some words exchanged. And then as soon as he did that, he immediately was like, "Oh no, what did I just do?" And like went and helped pick the guy up. And was sorry that he did it, but I mean, he already got the flag at that point in time. So you at least know like it's in his head and they've talked about it. But sometimes, I mean, I've done it before. You get out there and in the heat of the moment, heat of the play, like it's hard to back down from a challenge like that. But
you never know what was said right before that. Not making an excuse. I don't know. There's no excuse.
Sure.
But there's
and the other thing I would say, like unsportsmanlike penalties are always going to happen in football. That's just the nature of it, no matter like what kind of team you have. I think our fan base is a little scarred off of last year. So the fact that we saw one happen, it was just like, oh my gosh, like it's happening again kind of thing. So last one I feel like is just kind of a good summary and note. Short and sweet, love winning, but lots of room for improvement. feels like that's what we said for the most part. Let's get another win under our belt this next week. But there's lots of room to grow, and hopefully we do grow into that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Keep it moving. Shout out to us, by the way. We have a schedule that we try to keep of like times. This was probably the best we've ever done with that.
We've been like every segment.
Nailed it. Like, so shout out to us, because often we go over time, but we're not going to see you for a couple weeks. We have a bye week ourselves, unless something catastrophic happens, both good or bad. I don't know, but
let's hope not.
Let's hope not. But always great to get together. I say it every week to just talk about Liberty football. A team that, win or loses, has brought so many of us to Liberty, or had us connecting with people online, and we're grateful that you're tuning in live. You're checking this out later, whatever that looks like, whether it's Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. We got over that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, and John does such a great job, not just with football. Sea of Red is not just a football based organization, covering basketball, women's volleyball is going on a run, softball, baseball, all of that, keeping informed. And the Sea of Red Twitter account and the Sea of Red YouTube page are two great ways to do that. Press conferences, in-depth breakdowns, always great. So, gentlemen, anything else?
I think we'll just, our next show is, like you said, we are taking a bye week after this because we don't play again for a while. The next game is not till November 1st after Tuesday night. So our next show will be October 28th. So that's about 2 weeks. We'll go back to Tuesdays. That'll be the week leading into that Delaware game. When we get back to Saturdays, we'll have a show Tuesday night that week, and we should have a show every Tuesday night throughout, till the end of the season. So just a reminder there for those of you that listen and tune in and you're wondering when our next show is. We won't have one next week, but when we come back that following Tuesday, we'll recap the New Mexico State game and also be covering the Delaware game coming up.
Yeah, unless Jamie Chadwell goes to Penn State, I don't think we're going to have a podcast. That's going to be the parameter.
That's true.
If that doesn't happen, then we will we'll see you in 2 weeks. But on behalf of John Manson, CT, and myself, thanks for tuning in. Super excited to see where the rest of the season takes us. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Go Flames.